Well, good afternoon to you. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Remeisha Shade. A lot to talk about for today's tropical update. Well, it didn't take long for Mother Nature to say, hey, I want to mess with those folks in Texas. It looks like we are going to get some of the impacts from what will likely become Tropical Storm Alberto over the next 24 to 48 hours. Here's the biggest news. This just happened in the last 5 to 10 minutes. National Hurricane Center has now upgraded our Invest 91L, or area of showers and storms in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico, to a potential tropical cyclone. So it is now being called Potential Tropical Cyclone number 1 that is formed in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. You may be asking yourself, what the heck is that? Well, it's basically stronger than a tropical wave, but it doesn't quite have the characteristics of a fully blown tropical storm just yet. However, when the National Hurricane Center issues a potential tropical cyclone wording for a system, that usually means they're fairly confident it will develop into a tropical storm over the next 1 to 2 days. So we are expecting Tropical Storm Alberto, which will be our first tropical storm of the 2024 hurricane season, to form at least by Wednesday. So that means bigger impacts for us. We are expecting this system to bring a large plume of tropical moisture our way for the rest of today, tonight, Tuesday, Wednesday, even into Thursday, with rain chances still sticking around for the weekend, but rain should be a little bit less widespread by then. So our main threat from this is not going to be 100+ mile per hour wind or anything like that, but we are going to get a lot of tropical moisture. So we are expecting anywhere from 5 to 10 inches of rainfall from this system, especially Houston and areas south. If you live north of Houston, your chance for that super heavy rain that could lead to big time flooding is a little bit lower, but basically we all have a shot for some heavy downpours, those tropical downpours that can lead to some flooding pretty quick. I got to experience that earlier today. I was sitting in my car, was out running a few errands, the sun was out, and then all of a sudden, boom, it just started raining really heavily for about 3 to 4 minutes, and then the sun was out again. I was like, yes, we are definitely in that tropical type pattern when you get those brief heavy downpours. They can come in quickly and then they move away. So that's what we're going to be expecting for the next 2, 3, maybe even 4 days. Also, there will be problems out by the coast. High surf and coastal flooding will be possible. So I have more on some of the coastal impacts coming up in just a few minutes. But first, this is probably what you want to see. This is the latest. This is our new Potential Tropical Cyclone 1. It now has a track. We do have that cone associated with it now that it is getting closer to becoming a tropical storm, likely Tropical Storm Alberto. So current maximum sustained winds are at 40 miles per hour, movement to the north-northwest at 7 miles per hour, and that pressure right at 1001 millibars, and this is as of the 4 p.m. advisory. So it's still fairly disorganized, but it is a broad area of circulation trying to get its act together, and we do have that wind at this point around 40 miles per hour. It is projected to continue off to the northwest and then make kind of a curve more to the west, and by Wednesday afternoon around 1 p.m. expect it to have 45 mile per hour winds with it as it gets very close to that northeastern Mexican coast and also very close to the southern tip of Texas. So that is likely where the heaviest rain is going to be, anywhere from Corpus Christi likely down to the southernmost parts of Texas. But we are still in that zone where we're going to get a lot of those tropical rain bands wrapping around that area of low pressure, and so we are expecting things to be pretty soggy, wet, and messy here. So for that reason, the National Weather Service has already put us under a flood watch. The flood watch does not start until tomorrow evening at 7 p.m., but they've already put it out in anticipation of several inches of rain potentially that could lead to some big time flooding. So flood watch now in place. That includes Atascocita, all of the Houston metro area down to League City, Galveston, Pearland, over towards Katy, Rosenberg, Sugar Land, Lake Jackson, and points south and west as well. This also includes southern parts of Liberty County and all of Chambers County. So this is 7 p.m. Tuesday until 1 a.m. Thursday. So late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning, that's when the flood watch is expected to end. How much rain are we talking about? Well, I think widespread 4 to 8 inch totals in this flood watch area, and maybe some 9-10 inch totals for a few of you, especially to the south and southwest of Houston, down around the coast. So that will be over towards Angleton, Lake Jackson, Bay City, Wharton, El Campo. I think those are the spots that will have the best shot for that 8, 9, 10-inch rain total. This is between now and early Thursday morning. All right, current radar is showing that we do have some spotty downpours out there across Houston, Liberty, over towards Wharton, but I do also want to point out some of our coastal issues. We do also have a rip current statement that has now been extended through early Thursday morning, and this is going to mean that very high risk for rip currents has returned to our area beaches. So if you're going to Jamaica Beach, Galveston Beach, any other beaches down around the coast, definitely keep in mind it's going to be fairly dangerous. We also have a coastal flood watch in place due to the fact that there could be some coastal flooding as this heavy rain comes in. So it's going to be windy at the beach. The risk for rip currents will be high and the seas will be rough. There's also a small craft advisory, so not the best time to make beach plans. You may want to wait this one out until all of the tropical impacts start to move away. But we're going to be right in the middle of it, right in the thick of things for the next 2 to 3 days. With all of that tropical moisture building in from the south, we will have those outer rain bands of what is expected to be Tropical Storm Alberto circulating in, and that means very heavy rain for the Houston metro area. All right, let's get a view of our satellite loop, and you can see this system really trying to get its act together. You can see that counterclockwise swirl. This is in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. You can see the showers and storms indicated by the yellows, reds, and oranges, trying to get more organized and generally tracking off to the north and west. So we are expecting this to gradually push towards that eastern Mexican coast, likely making landfall in between South Texas and Northeast Mexico, and that is where the heaviest rain will likely be. But like I said, we are in that favorable zone for some of those heavy rain bands to impact us. As far as our tropical outlook for the next 7 days, we've got, of course, what will likely be Tropical Storm Alberto. Right now, potential tropical cyclone number 1 with still a 70% chance that it will develop into a tropical storm over the next couple of days. So that one, we are almost certain it's likely going to be a tropical storm, and it will impact us. But we're also monitoring an area in the southwestern Atlantic now with a 30% chance for tropical development over the next 7 days. Now this area would likely develop and push to the west-northwest and could hit the eastern Florida coast, maybe the Georgia coast, coast of the Carolinas. So more trouble potentially for Florida, Georgia, Carolinas from that system, although the chance for that one developing is a little bit lower at this time. But here's the one we're concerned about in Texas. Of course, it is in the Gulf of Mexico, and there's really nowhere for it to escape without hitting some major land area. So we are hoping that it stays south. It looks like it will stay south, but we will still get a lot of heavy rain from it. All right, here is the spaghetti plot. These are different computer models, and this is the latest forecast with our potential tropical cyclone number 1. Notice all of the computer models kind of take it to the north and then gradually to the northwest, and then they kind of curve it pretty sharply to the west, and they have it making landfall in northeastern Mexico. Notice there's South Texas, there's Houston, Corpus Christi, Tampico in Mexico, Guadalupe. So likely a Mexico landfall, but still impacts will be widespread, and they certainly will be felt and experienced right here in southeast Texas. All right, so back to our local Fox Red radar. Notice those tropical downpours, those heavy showers rolling in from the southeast, tracking to the northwest, pushing over parts of Houston, Atascocita. Get ready to see this quite a bit. Get used to it, because our radar will be very active with these showers and storms lighting up the radar over the next 2 to 3 days. But right now, a little downpour getting heavier in between Aldine and Atascocita, and that should likely push over the Spring area. Not a ton of rain for downtown Houston, just some lighter showers close by, but that is subject to change at any time with these tropical downpours breaking out. Over towards Shepherd, Cleveland, Cold Spring, Livingston, you can see some scattered downpours there. And in the Navasota area, some heavier rain building over your area, and this is going to be east of College Station. And then we've got some spotty showers, nothing too extreme right now, but this is down towards Victoria, Hallettsville, Wharton, and Need Needville and also close to Eagle Lake. So this is really just the beginning of what will likely be several rounds of this heavy rain, those tropical downpours rolling in. What does our Futurecast model show? Well, this particular model shows more of the same, those spotty downpours pushing in for this evening, stretching into the overnight hours, not really showing a ton of rain overnight, but I think we really get things going tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, tomorrow night through Wednesday. I think the worst of this rain will be Tuesday afternoon through Wednesday afternoon. In fact, you can see around 2 p.m. Tuesday afternoon, notice this big band of heavy rain and storms rolling in from the Gulf. That's that moisture that will be circulating around what will likely be Tropical Storm Alberto. It continues to come at us in waves. Heavy rain still showing up for Wednesday morning, and that will likely continue through Wednesday afternoon and even into early Thursday. I still can't rule out some scattered heavy downpours. So that heavy rain threat will stick around from today through Thursday. I think that will be the worst of it. Likely the worst of the days, Tuesday and Wednesday. We're talking about 5 to 10 inches of rain, elevated seas, that very high risk for rip current. So not the type of weather where you want to be making beach plans. And if you live in a flood prone area, maybe you live close to the Trinity River, right around Liberty, Trinity River at Moss Bluff, those could be some of the first areas to flood. We still got moderate flooding going on right around the Trinity River at Liberty, and that is expected to turn into major flooding later on this week. So bottom line, in case you didn't figure it out, we've got a pretty high flood risk, flash flood risk for the rest of today. On the elevated side, it's a category 2 out of 4, slight risk, but we get bumped up to an even higher category for tomorrow. So the flash flood risk, a 3 out of 4 for your Tuesday. So we are in that red zone, and that's not a good place to be. That means there is a pretty high chance that we're going to get super heavy rain that could lead to some additional flash flooding. I did want to break down where we do expect some of the heaviest rain to be. I did mention 5 to 10 inches of rain earlier, but where's that most likely to fall? Well, I think the smallest rain totals would likely be off to the north and west of Houston, and north of Houston, the Woodlands, Navasota, Huntsville, Livingston, likely around 2, 3, 4 inches of rain. But as you get down into Houston, Katy, Sealy, Sugar Land, you get bumped up into that 3 to 5 inch rain total. This is between now and Thursday and into early Friday, but this is mainly between now and Thursday. 5 to 8 inch totals are going to be expected down towards Alvin, Needville, El Campo, Eagle Lake, and Bay City. And then when you get down towards Angleton, Lake Jackson, Palacios, those are some of the spots that could pick up 8, 9, maybe 10 inches of rain between now and Thursday. So that is why we are so concerned about that big flood threat. So we're going to keep those rain chances pretty high for the next 5 days. So just make sure that you are extra careful out there. Of course, you need to turn around, find an alternate route if you do encounter a flooded road. You never know what's underneath that road or underneath that water, how deep it is, if the road is intact. So you don't want to put yourself in that situation. Also, a good time to remind you of the difference between a flash flood watch and a flash flood warning. Flash flood watch means that conditions are favorable for flooding, so you need to be prepared. But if you go under a flash flood warning, that means a life-threatening incident is going on. We do have life-threatening weather likely taking place. Flash flooding is imminent or occurring, and that means you need to take action. So the main thing, if you're under a watch, be prepared. If you're under a warning, take action immediately to save yourself and your loved ones. So just keep those things in mind, because we likely will have quite a few flood advisories and maybe some flash flood warnings coming out over the next few days. So for that reason, with our high flood threat, tomorrow and Wednesday are going to continue to be Fox 26 storm alert days. That means we have a high risk for heavy rainfall that could lead to some flooding. That is going to be our severe weather threat for the next couple of days. That tropical moisture will lead to some of those tropical downpours That means rainfall rates maybe 1, 2, 3 inches per hour, and that spells a big flood risk. So that higher flood risk sticks around the next couple of days. That high rip current risk will be with us down around the coast, that risk for that coastal flooding. So certainly a lot going on for the next few days. So certainly make sure, if you haven't already done so, head to your phone's app store. Search for the Fox 26 weather app. Make sure you have that downloaded on your phone. Turn the alerts on so that you won't miss out on what's happening. You can track what's on the radar and you will be ready to take action. You'll be prepared and you'll be ready to take action just in case your area goes under a warning. All right, we've been talking about a super busy hurricane season that has been forecast, and we're already starting to see that in just the first few weeks of this 2024 hurricane season. The reason, very warm water temperatures out there in the Gulf, the Caribbean, the Atlantic, and also we're switching from an El Nino to a La Nina pattern. So this graphic basically shows that during the La Nina years, we typically have a lot more tropical activity in the Atlantic, and we'll have to wait and see how this season pans out, but we're really already starting to see that trend. So you need to be prepared. Make sure you have your hurricane plan in place. Make sure you have your hurricane gear so that you won't be caught off guard just in case we do get a direct hit from one of these systems. And keep in mind that it's not going to be the best conditions to head to the beach. It is already windy out there, and we will likely have wind gusts over 40 miles per hour as we go through the next 24 to 48 hours. And of course, like I said, that risk for rip currents will be high. So a lot to talk about, but the main thing to remember is that we now have potential tropical cyclone number 1 in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico, likely to become tropical storm Alberto over the next 1 to 2 days. Of course, keep checking back with us. We're going to be jumping on, giving you updates. Of course, this is our daily tropical update. You can catch this every afternoon right around 4 p.m. Make sure to keep it here. We will keep you prepared and ahead of this storm. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Remeisha Shade.